I've always worked in wood. The wood thing probably started with my grandfather, on my mom's dad. He was a carpenter, and probably that came through to be a carpenter for me. And anyway, I never got to meet this gentleman. He died like in 25. He had a gallbladder operation and didn't make it. And so I never got to meet him. But I think that's where the gene came from. In the Boy Scouts, I'm 8, 9, 10 years old in the Boy Scouts, and the merit badge was in carpentry. You had to build something. And I built an 8-foot paddleboard. And it had the ribs inside it. It was hollow and had a nice cover on it. And then the bottom was all shaped, and it went around, you know, and then came to a point. And I had that thing for a long, long time. Some of you folks at church know that I give crosses away, okay? And to make those crosses, you have to start out with this piece of wood. And I had one lady that my wife worked with at the hospital who was dying of a brain tumor. And I was driving Diane to work because she'd had some work done on her leg. And I got to know this young lady, and she asked me, I gave her a cross. And I always carry one or two in my pocket.
Oh.
And when I give this cross away, I hide it in my hand, and then I say to the person, when you die and get to the pearly gates, you're going to be asked, do you have the key to heaven? And they're going to say, the key to heaven. And I said, and there it is, the cross. So how do you make these crosses? The lady wanted me to make her 50 crosses. And she says, well, I have planned my funeral, because I'm only going to live a short time longer, and I'm going to have the priest give them out after the service. Okay, so I made her 50 crosses, and about a month later she called me on the phone. She wasn't able to work anymore, and she wanted 50 more crosses. And I says, what are you going to do with them? I just made you 50. She says, well, because I can't get out of the house, my friends have been coming to visit, and I've been giving them a cross. So now I need some more crosses. So I came up with this contraption. Now you remember, we made this piece of wood, and so we're going to have to put it on the saw and make crosses. 2 pieces of wood that we have here that make the cross. Anyway, and then you take a hammer and tap that down in there. You don't even have to use glue. So there's a cross. And then you have to sand it a little bit. But the machine that, if you can see this up close, you can see that it's a mousetrap. A mousetrap, okay? Okay, there's the 2 pieces of wood. Put a little block of wood on top of that, and the spring on the mousetrap holds it in place. And then you run it over the table saw over here, and it has a special blade. I don't have it in the machine, but this sits in here, And when you push it over that blade, it cuts that groove in both of the pieces of wood. You see that? Okay. So that's how you make 50 crosses.
Tears in my eyes.
And tie it on to here, and then this goes through the cross, the hole in the cross, and then you spray paint it with lacquer. And I have, as you can see, all kinds of wires. I'll do maybe 30 or 40 crosses at a time, and I give them away, at least 10 or 20 of them in hand.
Oh.
And I carry one or two in my pocket.
I actually don't have one of these, but I know where to get one.
I got to put one in my pocket. And so my carpentry skills have just went on. And I really do love working with wood. And when I die and they do an autopsy on me to see why I died, they'll probably find a Presto log on each lung. One Presto log on each lung from all the sawdust that I've inhaled.